has taken over. Let's go. It's Ferrall. Coast to coast. Steaks, chicks, stacks. You and I are going to make a lot of money. It's Ferrall, coast to coast.
All right, a couple of things I want to get clear here. You got to get the SportsGrid app. It's free on iOS and Android in the Play Store. You got to get it because it's kick-ass. You can listen to the network on it. You can watch the network on it. You can literally watch in HD SportsGrid on the app, like with your phone. You're just sitting there watching like TV. It's just the greatest thing ever. If you think we're ugly, you can just listen. You can get all the stories, highlights, odds, in-game odds. Follow your favorite hosts like Carver High, the SportsGrid app. And I mentioned earlier, it is FREE free. Did you know we're streaming on X? That's right. We've taken over the world, and it was easy doing it. We're on X streaming 7 days a week, 365, all day, every day, and all night long like the Four Horsemen. Just search SportsGrid-Live, and you're good to go. Speaking of good to go, everybody's doing the Ferrall Coast to Coast and Ferrall on the Bench podcast on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts. Those go out daily, and they're very popular with people that don't have time to sit around and watch TV for 3 hours. They can take it with them and listen in the car and bumper-to-bumper traffic, or when they go out at night with their buddies driving around, smoking and drinking. You can listen on the way back and hopefully not get distracted. The podcasts are out every day, like I said, so get them. And next Tuesday, by the way, which I believe is the 12th, I could be wrong, or the 10th. It's the 10th. The 10th of December is the SportsGrid holiday party. So in honor of that, we're having a 4-hour Ferrall Coast to Coast show. And we're going to dedicate, I think, the last hour of that to all of the playoff college football games in the 12-team field and all of the bowl games, which should be announced by then as well. We should have those by this weekend. Is that about right? I would think by Sunday night, Monday, all the bowl games will be announced because everything else is going to be done. So we're going to dedicate the extra hour to college football and the postseason on top of a normal 3-hour C2C. That's next Tuesday, the 10th, from 3 to 7 Eastern, right here on SportsGrid and all of our outlets. So I had to get that all in, Carver High. As you know, it's very important, but it's also crucial because SportsGrid is king, and the fans need to know what the king is doing.
Indeed, and yes, every bowl will be announced on Sunday. There will be nothing that lingers beyond Sunday when it comes to bowl season. You'll even get a few that still trickle out between now and then. We've given you some of those amazing matchups the last few days that have come down the pike, and another one came down today, actually, believe it or not.
Is that right?
The Bahamas Bowl,
Whoa.
which I know you always tune into, which is on January 4th this year at 11 a.m. East, will have Liberty and Buffalo in it. The Bahamas Bowl.
Waldo used to always go to that one.
Liberty and Buffalo. By the way, this just came out, and there's a few people that have tweeted this, so I thought I should bring it to your attention. And it comes from Inside Carolina, which is, of course, they cover the North Carolina Tar Heels football team in their program. Allegedly, Bill Belichick is interviewed for the North Carolina football coaching job. Bill Belichick interviewed for the North. That is, and Brett McMurphy just tweeted it as well, citing Inside Carolina as the source that said it. Look, I'm kind of surprised if it's true. I'm kind of surprised because, as you know, he's only he's like just needs 13, 14 wins or whatever it is to get that all-time NFL record. He's 72 as it is right now. And college, he's never done college. And it's changed so much to where you're so much more than a coach now. You have to basically be like a salesman, a politician, and a coach all at once with NIL and the portal.
You have to be a banker.
a banker as well, as Brian Kelly's talked about a lot this week down in the Bayou with LSU. I've heard him whining about their finances. But Belichick in college? Chapel Hill? That's wild if that happens. I did not see that coming if that comes.
I think he actually likes coaching so much. The essence of it, the actual coaching. Because I remember when he coached the Giants, defense, and he, was around Lawrence Taylor. And I mean, the guy he got his rocks off coaching that guy. Like, that was I think the happiest he's ever been. I think he went from that euphoria to misery in the NFL because he became so obstructed when it came to the media, and he became so impossible to deal with. He became such a Grinch and such a grim reaper of he was miserable, I thought, at the end with, frankly, Kraft and the Patriots and everything about it. Maybe going back to just pure coaching and kids, he doesn't have to deal with all the bullshit and all in terms of, the money, the power, the egos, and the, media at that level, at the pro level, is so insane. It's just a pain in the neck. College, he'd be the king of the hill there, and he'd just coach kids. And if you didn't like it, he'd just get rid of you. Like, it's real simple. Like, he's not afraid to tell someone no. I've always told you, no, and you're fired are required, tantamount to being a boss. If you're going to be a boss, you have to be able to say no, and you have to fire people. Otherwise, you shouldn't have the job. So that guy's not afraid to fire people, and he's not afraid to say no to some college kid. I can guarantee you that.
I agree with all of that. There's no doubt with the kind of what he expects and demands and things. But, we're just seeing so many older guys who have been in college football forever. Who are getting out. They're running out of what's going on right now. His good buddy Nick Saban ran away. He wanted nothing to do with it anymore. And Bill's never done it before, and at his age, he's going to go and deal. It's just so weird. That's a strange story.
Weird is that the age. So they just had a guy 70 years old that they, at one point, 2 weeks ago, he said he was coming back, and then 2 weeks later, they fired him. At what point do you just finally draw the line on having 70-plus-year-old men running your operation? Let's face facts. Look, Bill he's got a 24-year-old girlfriend. He's down he's taking pictures at the shore dressed as a pumpkin. I mean, he's done everything crazy. He's having fun in life. He's got his dog, all the rest. I mean, at what point do you just say, enough already, I just want to live life and get a little? He's getting a little. What does he need to work for again? I don't know anyone. Now, all these people say all the time, I'm going to work. I'll never forget the schmoozer. I'm going to work until they kill me.
They're going to have to take me out of here. I'm not going.
I'm not that guy. I want to live life, right? If you had millions of dollars, Mike, if you had millions of dollars like Bill Belichick has, why in the Sam hell would you want to work anymore? I'd want to go get laid and party. Are you kidding? If you still can do it and you're with a 24-year-old chick and you're, traveling the world and living large and getting a little, isn't that more appealing than having to go to college football games every Saturday? Honestly.
I think his life, he's doing all these things. His face is everywhere. He's got the young girlfriend. Why would he want to be involved with coaching a college football team and doing that? It just makes no sense.
I agree.
Enter into the magical world of McLuck.com, where even the smallest of spins can win real cash prizes. Adventure into over 1,000 of the best Vegas-style slot games, So what are you waiting for? Unlock your free welcome offer today. Join the fun where winners play and players win.
It's a new era in CFP to start off this year, put on full display.
My take on this game is simple. I know some people will be upset about it. Good riddance to the Pac-12.
Can you do it in terms of the week to week to week?
I don't see a pathway for this team to miss the college football playoffs.
We want to make sure you have those best bets in the entirety of our betting cards. That was thinking! But he had that program was already going there!
Only on SportsGrid.
We live in a society right now where everybody's a snowflake, everybody's a cupcake, and everybody thinks that nothing is fair. Everything is like, it's not fair. We should have a better chance. We need more. You know what? I'm old enough to remember when you needed to have a perfect goddamn record to win a college football championship. That's the way it was. 11-1, too bad.
Sports Rage tonight. Only on SportsGrid.
Fillet Indiana. They would smash them.
What?
Honestly.
You listen to yourself speak. That's not a reality question. They have not played each other. You are using hypothetical.
And they got embarrassed.
As so many
if
teams
they would
do.
have won that football, yes, that's you're
but that's the thing, Johnny. No. Stop.
The only argument is Indiana is a decent football team and a product of their environment.
The early line. Only on SportsGrid.
He shouldn't need to hire outside help at this point to be able to help him, let alone outside help, Joe, that used to work for him.
Until they get him out of the way, I just don't see how this gets any better. And like you said, who are you picking from? Because most people who know the league want nothing to do with the ownership group there with the Jets.
Ferrall Coast to Coast. Only on SportsGrid.
Carver High, can you explain to me these trucks that go sideways? Is it to get out of because if you're spinning your wheels in ice or snow and you can't move, you're like, zzz, 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 and you're stuck, and you get the guy putting a broom under there, or the sandbag, or the salt, or is it so that you can just sideways get out of a jam? Is it the parallel part? What is the point of these sideways moving trucks and SUVs? I see all these commercials now, and I'm a little confused as to why we need that.
I gotta tell you, I don't even know what you're talking about. Like, I haven't even seen these things in action. I gotta go and look now. I'm gonna look this up at the next break. These sideways.
I'm telling you, Luke has seen it. Frank the Tank has seen it. It is everything's going sideways now. They move sideways. The truck just slides to the left or to the right on its own. And the commercials, they have them out in the middle of these snowy fields in the mountains, and they show these trucks and SUVs just going sideways. Like, they have this traction that allows them to go sideways. It's just awful. I have no idea what's happening to the world.
Is that like a panic mode? Is that what they call it? What do they call that? Like, what I see it, I'm like trying to look this up right now. I have no idea what that's all about with the sideways trucks. You're not talking about like these are like not those boxed super truck Tesla things, right? You're not talking about
like
those
a normal GMC
like those Batmobiles that people are rolling around in.
The wheels go sideways. The truck moves side to side. Like, it's just unbelievable. I mean,
Luke said he sent it to you. He sent it to you. He told you to look at your phone. He said he sent you the information on it.
All right, I gotta look at this. I want to see when are they gonna have flying cars? Like, they already do, but I want to know when we're gonna have like George Jetson. Like, real.
Yeah, remember
like,
we were supposed to have this already.
It's a crab
Back
walk,
to the Future.
They call it. The
crab walk. Back to the Future, we were supposed to have this, right? 2015, they were flying through Hill Valley in the air. So we should have already had this technology, according to the Back to the Future franchise. So it's kind of a shame that we don't. already have that. So there you go. You got your car information now. You're good to go with the
crab walk, and they got it on 3 different
Crab
trucks and SUVs. Very popular now for no reason whatsoever.
They're not as popular as those Batman-looking trucks that Tesla things. Those things, I'm seeing those everywhere now.
I'm
People
seeing
are loading
those
up
everywhere,
in those.
and just so for clear it up for everyone, those are so ugly. If you drive around in that, you look like a tool.
I don't even know how you get in and out of the thing. Like it's too much. Kirk Cousins, of course, the Falcons have lost 3 in a row. He threw 4 picks last week. He was absolutely awful. And he gets to go back to Minnesota this Sunday to see the Vikings. Kirk, very excited to see everybody back in Mini.
Well, usually when you play on the road, you don't know too many people, and I think just the familiarity of having so many people, certainly a part of the organization, and also, people in the stands, too, that have had a big impact on your life, and you're very grateful for. So that's really a different dynamic, but I think between the whistles, you're not thinking about that as much. You're just trying to go win a football game. And so,
what a nice guy.
I don't know that it is too different when you're playing, but, certainly post game, there'll be a lot of people to say hello to and thank.
Oh, yeah.
Whatever. Like, look, he looked so awful last week. And the bottom line is they gave him a ton of money, and it is not working.
Yeah, he better be more worried about his game this week than saying hi to some guy that used to park his car when he came in the player garage. Like, he can't be worried about that. He got to be worried about his team is free falling right now.
Yeah.
That's what he needs to be worried about, because they've lost 3 in a row, and he's the reason they lost last week. Guy threw 4 picks.
Yeah.
He's the reason they lost. So it's time to turn things around. And what better place to do it than in Minnesota, who's 10-2 as well, although neither of us actually believe in them. Vikings are -5.5 with a 46.5 total.
Well, I think the 5.5 might be live, but I think the Vikings are going to win that game. But I think 5.5 might be a little steep for my wallet. Seriously, I think he can cover that number. I think it's going to be a field goal game.
I think that number is a little too big. They're going to be in the game. They're in every game. They just lose them. Aside from that Denver game a couple weeks ago, they've been hanging around in all of these games. Caleb Williams, of course, has had quite the first year in Chicago as the number 1 overall draft pick. He has now already been through an offensive coordinator getting fired. His head coach got fired last week. He is getting a crash course in the world of the National Football League, and he loses every week. Here is Caleb. Don't worry, Scotty, because he plans on growing from all of these experiences.
I wouldn't say that it would affect my development. I think this is a stepping stone of development. To be able to have all of this in my first year, I wouldn't say that I'm happy for it, but having these moments is definitely something that will help me in the future. Having these situational moments that you can't. It's hard to rep in practice. Having some of these moments, having your coach fired or coaches fired and people being promoted and things like that all happening within a couple weeks of each other. I think it would have helped me in the long run.
Oh, stop. You know what this is? That is such a load of shack. What it is and I said this the other day, the Bears are a disaster. They're an absolute disaster. So the bloodletting has been going on for 2 months, and he's been exposed to all of it. So he is learning the hard way what it's like, frankly, to play in the NFL and to be successful. Now, that is not saying what it's like to be in the NFL and getting paid a lot of money. So he's rich already, and your first deal in the NFL, you're rich, but you're not that rich. The first deal is not the one that gets you paid. You see what Dak Prescott's doing and these guys are doing now. Even Daniel Jones, they just gave him 4 years, $160 million, and he doesn't have a job. Well, now he's with the Vikings. I guess they picked him up or whatever. All I know is they get more money down the road than they do at the beginning. And anything else doesn't even matter. He's learned nothing other than he gets paid a lot of money and he doesn't know how to win.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Right here with you on Pro Football Today on SportsGrid. Odds in motion, trying to see what lines have moved throughout the week.
Never felt more comfortable in this set than I do for this year. I am ready. I'm just getting angry. The hot takes are going to be here all season long, people.
What in the world is going on in Miami, Dom?
It's not particularly anything to shy away from just because many people are on top of it.
Hot take, hot take.
I think this line is asking you once again to take New Orleans.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
The two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take.
Ka-ching!
Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results.
What? How do you do this one?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
There is going to be an energy to game time decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Watching Bournemouth up 1-0 on Tottenham, the Hotspur at Bournemouth in the Premier League in the 53rd minute. That's 3 days in a row. I believe I've watched Premier League during C2C, Carver High, getting my Premier League fix in.
Yeah, they've had a lot of midweek action over there in the Premier League. So they're taking care of you, at least for some afternoon viewing. You could throw on the Hero World Challenge, too. I think that they're winding down in the Bahamas for round number 1. So that's there, too. Cam Young, by the way, 8 under today.
Forever Young.
Has the lead. Cameron Forever Young. But who do we have here that is tied for? Now, where did he go? What did he finish?
Where's your boy
You gotta
Kyle?
be kidding me. Well, what really bothers me is that I have Nicky Dunlap at 45 to 1. He was 7 under and 1 back of Cam Young as he hit the 16th tee box today. The problem is that he bogeyed 16, and then he double bogeyed 18. So he dropped down to 4 under and tied for 8th. So we're going to need a little bit better out of him tomorrow. We got Cantlay, too, who's 5 under, and Justin Thomas is 6 under. So all 3 of our guys are within 4 shots of the lead.
You're all live.
And we'll take that with quite a few rounds to go. No problems there. All right, a few more NFL things, and then we'll get into some college. We got NBA tonight, etc. Big game in the NFC West this week. Seahawks in first place, 7-5, heading to the Toaster in Arizona, where they will see the Cardinals, who are 6-6, and 1 game back of them, looking to tie the division. Here is Kyler Murray, knows that the Seahawks are balling right now.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're, playing with a lot of swag right now. Confidence is through the roof. They're making plays. They're playing fast. Obviously, new coach, but, first year, a lot of success. We just played them a couple weeks ago, obviously. I think, it's a divisional opponent. There's going to be a lot of emotion and stuff like that, obviously. But, again, it just comes down to execution. We can't allow, the highs and lows of the emotions and maybe the situation of the game and whatnot to affect how we communicate and execute.
Well, whatever that means, I know that they're at home, and I like their chances because they're playing for that division and nothing else. There will be no wild cards for these teams that are 500 in the NFC. You have to win the division. So I'm going to take a shot with Arizona at the Toaster.
Yeah, I think I'm in on Arizona as well this week. They're -2.5 right now. Total's 44.5. I know Seattle beat them pretty handily up there a couple weeks ago, but I think that they return serve here and they split the season series. And then they'll both be 7-5 with 4 games to go. It'll be down the stretch we go in the NFC. 7-6, excuse me. They'll both be 7-6 after they beat them this week. Next, the Chiefs and the Chargers Sunday night game at Arrowhead. A lot has been made of how the Chiefs have been, getting by. I mean, they are 11-1, but they've kind of just been winning in different ways, let's just say, every single week. Mahomes says you need to start playing your best football of the year right now, because now is when it matters.
Every team I've been on, I feel like has been a championship team. It's been plays here or there that have either we've lost in overtime of the AFC Championship game or lost in the Super Bowl. But I feel like we have the talent and we have the coaching staff and we have the work ethic to go out there and win any football game. It's about going out there and doing that on a week-to-week, day-to-day basis. And I feel like we have those guys that are motivated enough to do that. But it's not going to be easy. I mean, it never is. You have to really play your best football at the perfect time in order to win a championship, and that's what I've learned through my time in the NFL.
Well, there you have it. And he certainly knows because he's winning.
They are -3.5 Sunday night against the Chargers at Arrowhead. 42.5 is the total. I think I'm going to take that 3.5. I don't know if they'll win because the Chiefs have find ways every single week, but I think the Chargers will give them a game in Arrowhead on Sunday night.
Yeah, I don't.
Don't like going after them. I know. You don't like going after the Chiefs.
Yeah,
it's not a good business.
I've already touched the oven, and I got to burn. Okay? I've already grabbed the pan out of the oven and burned my hand. So I'm not doing it again.
Fun.
I wear the glove now.
It's not fun. It's not fun when you go ahead and do that. That's for sure. The Steelers lead the NFL in time of possession this year. They led the NFL in 3-and-outs last year. Now they lead the NFL in time of possession. Dangerous getting involved.
I mean, they're averaging having the football for almost 34 minutes. That's crazy.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Right here with you on Pro Football Today on SportsGrid. Odds in motion, trying to see what lines have moved throughout the week.
Never felt more comfortable in the set than I do for this year. I'm ready. I'm just getting angry. The hot takes are going to be here all long, people.
What in the world is going on in Miami, Dom?
It's not particularly anything to shy away from just because many people are on top of it.
Hot take, hot take.
I think this line is asking you once again to take New Orleans.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
The two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results.
What? How do you do this one?
Oh, Donnie, you've got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
There is going to be an energy to game time decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
We always kick off the second half of the show at this very juncture, just past 4:32 in the Eastern time zone. I was just telling the story of back in the day, because they've been watching Hard Knocks, these guys, about the AFC North and the Steelers and Tomlin getting all this attention and these big auditoriums they have and the facilities. And Frank the Tank mentioned that the Bengals look like they're in a gym or something. It's a dump. The facilities are so, so much weaker than the Steelers, et cetera. So I was telling the story that back in the day at Three Rivers, they had the Steelers offices were on the parking lot right around the rim of the stadium. It was a big circular ashtray, and they would have a parking lot for all the players and owners by their offices. And like the Pirates were on one side of the stadium and the Steelers were on the other. And when you walked into the foyer of the Steelers offices, they had 4 Super Bowl trophies encased in a giant thing. It was bulletproof, everything else. You couldn't touch it. You could just see it. And then you'd walk down the hall, and they had all their offices. And you'd walk down the hall, and on the left, they would have this giant conference room with like a mafia table with literally 50 chairs in it. And he would sit at the front of the head of the family. He was the master of ceremonies. He would sit at the head of the table. All the media, based on your juice, would go from seats 1, 2, 3, 4, going down the table, down the row. And every week, and I covered a team for 3 years and traveled with the team. And every week, the same thing would happen. He would walk in, sit down. Everyone else was already in there waiting for him. The minute he'd walk in, all the cameras would turn on. The lights would turn on. The microphones would press on. He'd sit there and he'd smile at people and say hi to people that he liked. And then they would get down to business. And always the first person that would speak to him, and only the first person to speak to him, was Myron Cope, the legendary Steeler announcer and the legendary writer. Now, people don't realize at one point he wrote for Sports Illustrated. Myron was a great writer. He was one of the greatest sports writers of all time. And then he started talking sports. And then he started doing sports talk radio shows in Pittsburgh. And he called the Steelers games with Jack Fleming forever. And he got himself a lot of Super Bowl rings, let's say that. But that's how they used to do it. And now they do it with giant auditoriums. They have giant practice facilities, giant football field practice facilities. The Steelers mean business. Let me tell you what. The Rooneys know how to make billions and keep all that money and spend it on themselves and on their facilities and on their franchise. And then when it comes to contracts and players, market value only. Good luck. Good luck beating them in negotiations.
Not easy to do, that's for sure. All right, just one or two other things, then I want to get to some college stuff. Trevor Lawrence, of course, is on the IR now after getting that concussion on Sunday. So while he's out, he's also going to have surgery to repair a significant AC joint injury in his left shoulder, his non-throwing shoulder. So Lawrence will get that done. He obviously was done for the year anyway. He's not going to play. Dak Prescott is done for the year as well, but did an interview talking about Mike McCarthy saying he deserves an extension and a chance to keep coaching the Cowboys. The more I listen to all of these people talk, Dak Prescott, Jerry Jones, etc., he's going to be the Cowboy coach next year, Scotty. I do not believe he's going to be not brought back, despite this first losing season that he's going to have in Dallas. He'll be the coach.
You know, I think that you're right, and I also think that he is a good coach, and I think they just had a bad luck season and injuries and everything else, and that he is the right guy to move forward with his franchise. I do not believe, like, I hear all this hot commodity, hot ticket assistant coach talk every year that this guy, like Monken now, it's always someone, they're like, this is the hottest ticket in coaching, these assistants. I don't believe in all that all the time. I certainly think there are assistants that deserve shots, but we've seen more often than not assistants get these jobs and fail miserably. And then this guy's got a ring and, you know, let him do his thing. And I think you're better off. I think he will be too.
There's also something else that Mike does that some hotshot assistant that's never been a head coach before probably won't be receptive to doing. And that is Mike is going to listen to whatever Jerry tells him to do. He is a guy that will say he will take it from Jerry. He's got the job. He'll coach the team. Some other hotshot assistant going there probably not going to like the way Jerry does things because Jerry does things very strange as opposed to the rest of the league. Mike gets it. He's been around a long time. He just wants the gig. He knows Jerry's a pain in the ass. He doesn't care. He just wants to coach the football team.
Yeah,
I think that also helps.
I agree with that.
With all that. One of the most, or maybe the most prestigious award in the National Football League, some think it's the MVP. It's not. It is the Walter Payton Man of the Year, which everybody wants to be every single season. Some of the greats have won it. Of course, the Steelers' Cam Hayward is the defending. He won it last year. Of course, the Walter Payton Man of the Year. The nominees came out today. Every team gets one player that they nominate for it, and they do this with all the other awards Super Bowl weekend. Just some guys that are on here for you, I'll tell you. Adam Thielen, he's been nominated a bunch of times. Jared Goff is on there. Grady Jarrett. Denzel Ward's been there a few times. The Steelers nominee was Larry Ogunjobi, who got it. Did you watch the video that the Steelers put out of them giving him the nomination? Hayward did a big speech.
No.
You should go check it out, Scotty. On the Steelers Twitter account, there's a video of them announcing him as their nominee.
You would have thought
really
Luke would
cool
have sent
stuff.
that to me already. He sends me everything else. You'd think he'd be on
He
top of
would've-
that already. It's just a little frustrating.
Mike Evans
Luke's
for
a
the
star,
Bucs.
rock star producer, and he's like above and beyond. Like at a level like over here, like stratospherian. And then he like let something like that slip to me. There's got to be a drinking thing going on. Maybe another wedding crasher.
But it is without question the most prestigious and highest honor
It is.
that a player
Have
in
you
the
ever seen
NFL
the guys
can
that
win.
win it? They get that
Got the
Walter
patch
Payton logo
on there. Yeah.
on their I think Russell Wilson's won it too. He's got one.
Yep. Russ won it with Seattle quite a few years ago. Eli's
Trevor
won
High
it.
has
Cam
been
Hayward won it.
named 5-time at CBS and at SportsGrid the Man of the Year 5 times.
I've been nominated 5 times, but I've never won. So
Bullshit.
I've never actually gotten it
Bullshit.
across
That
the
vote is
line.
rigged. You should have won
for
it at
that.
least 3 times. I cannot believe Myles Garrett got it over you.
At least at CBS, I could have won it. You would have thought. At least over there,
The
maybe. I would have
schmoozer
slipped through
stole
the-
that from you too, and that was bullshit.
Well, I just don't think it's good enough this year. I don't think you're the guy.
Cessna stole it from you one year, and I thought you
don't
had
want
worked
you to
hard
have
for
it.
him.
No. Finally, before I move on to other things, the Lions are still the favorites for the Super Bowl. There it is, your Week 14
God of
number
humanity.
with Kansas City, Buffalo, and Philly all right
What do I
behind
get
them
the
at 5
Steelers
1.
at? 20,
Can we find the
22?
Steelers?
What is it?
25, 28?
25 to 1.
25 to 1. I mean, they're
Oh
10
my
and 3.
God,
What are they
I'm
now?
all over
What are
it.
the Steelers? 9 and 3, right? What are the Steelers record now? 9 and 3.
9 and 3.
You get them at 25 to 1 at 9 and 3. Then they could.
That's like that's Alabama stuff. They get into the playoff at 9 and 3. Steelers are 25 to 1 to win the Super Bowl. Is essentially they have no chance whatsoever at 25 to 1. Well, I'm on that 25 to 1. I also got them at that 13 to 1. To win
Gotta
the
have
AFC.
it to win the AFC. Go and get involved. All right, we will come back. Speaking of, you mentioned Alabama and college football. A lot of people have been sounding off. We have the last few days about the College Football Playoff Committee. Well, we'll hear what Big 12 Commissioner Brett Yormark had to say about the College Football Playoff Committee yesterday. I thought he had the best take of trying to take them down. So we'll hear from Yormark and then go into a few of these games for this weekend and check out some updated lines. College Championship Week.
If you were on that crack crab and lobster committee, I would want to be literally the Invisible Man. Remember that movie? Because I wouldn't want to be known that I was on this committee because everyone hates their guts dead.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. the New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Right here with you on Pro Football Today on SportsGrid. Odds in motion, trying to see what lines have moved throughout the week.
Never felt more comfortable in this set than I do for this year. I am ready. I'm just getting angry. The hot takes are going to be here all long, people.
What in the world is going on in Miami, Dom?
It's not particularly anything to shy away from just because many people are on top of it.
Hot take, hot take.
I think this line is asking you once again to take New Orleans.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
The two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results.
What? How do you do this once?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
There is going to be an energy to game time decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Wow, is that true? So Frank the Tank just said that they banned that Beevil, the Texas Longhorn steer, from the SEC title game and the national championship tournament. If they get, I guess, to the title game, they're not allowed to bring that Beevil anywhere near football stadium. Your boy Beevil causing quite an upheaval with his wide ass and long steer horns. Have you ever seen this guy? This thing is like, it's like an airplane wings coming out of its head. It means business, that Beevil. You mess with that thing, it'll kill you, run you over and kill you and stab you with a big old, like, I don't mess with bucks either. Like, sometimes you'll see these, I go to play basketball and I see these bucks standing in the middle of the road, these giant deer with horns. You don't mess with a male deer when they got them giant reindeer horns. I mean to tell you, they will light you up. It's like having a Swiss Army knife full of, sharp, jagged deer horns. Don't mess with those people, Carver High. All right, what do you got?
Honestly,
me, You're under a tremendous strain. Are you going to play?
Bring the you gotta be kidding me. Let him bring the thing into the dome. What's the problem here? Oh, because it scared the dog when they played in the Sugar Bowl back
they'll
when?
let Georgia bring the bulldog, but not the big steer.
Yeah, of course. That's just nonsense. I really can't have any of that. Let's hear today from Big 12 Commissioner Brett Yormark. Of course, his conference is only going to get one team in the college football playoff. And as I've been bellyaching to you for weeks, I think it's nonsense that they have Boise as a bye over the winner of the Big 12. I just think that's stupid, considering the schedule and how competitive the Big 12 is compared to what Boise plays in the Mountain West. So thankfully, some people like to speak their mind, and Brett Yormark is absolutely one of those people. Let's hear from him.
The committee continues to show time and time again that they are paying attention to logos versus resumes. I've said that before. I want to say it again. And I say logos because they're concentrating on team logos and conference logos. Strength of schedule should matter. And wins against Power 4 opponents should matter. 74% of the Big 12 wins were against Power 4 opponents this season. Meanwhile, the group of five is 11-80. I want to say that again. 11-80 versus Power 4 teams this season. And in no way should a group of five champion be ranked above our champion. And I'm going to say that one more time. In no way should a group of 5 champion be ranked above our champion.
He's right.
Now, listen,
He's 100%
we knew this
right.
guy when he ran the Barclays and the Nets and all the rest, right? Like, he's been a powerful businessman in New York in sports in the last 25 years here in and around New York. He is afraid of no one in that candy ass college football scene. He's got like a powerful job running the Big 12, but he's always had bigger jobs than that, if you ask me. And I can tell you unequivocally, he's not afraid of anybody. I mean, that guy, remember, he would negotiate these gigantic events for that arena, gigantic concerts, gigantic boxing pay-per-view fights, title fights, you name it. Taking on the NBA, running an NBA franchise. I mean, the guy's done it all. He's not afraid of these candy-ass crack crab and lobster committee. Like, they're honestly, listen, the thing I want to bring up again, seriously, Mike, is that did you notice yesterday when this Ward Manuel guy was rambling about how much better Alabama is than Miami, why they chose them? Did you notice that all he talked about was their wins, but he didn't talk about their losses, but he talked about Miami's losses. They didn't talk about he didn't mention once about Alabama. Not once did he ever mention Alabama losing to Vanderbilt, getting their ass beat there, or going to Norman and getting their ass clocked there 24-3. Never mentioned that. He talked about their wins were impressive. But when he talked about Miami, all he talked about was their 2 losses in the last 4 weeks to Georgia Tech and to Syracuse. So he is so hypocritical and biased. And they are so crooked and fixed, that group, that committee is so ridiculous. And frankly, it's an abortion. It really is. They to sit there and sell me on Alabama's great wins are heavier than Miami's 2 losses to Georgia Tech by 5 and Syracuse by 4. If you're going to mention losses about Miami, you have to mention Alabama's losses. Instead, he talks about their wins. Ward Manuel's a phony. He's another hack-ass Big Ten, sucks off the Big Ten, right? Like, let's just get real here. And that is the most corrupt thing I've ever seen. Like, you know what this is? Do you remember back in the day when they had Brand ran the NCAA and I said he was the devil? He was the worst thing that ever happened to college sports. And then he died and I was like, bye, good riddance, see ya. No one's going to miss you now that you're dead. And I meant it. He was the guy that got Bob Knight fired. This guy had a hair up his ass for Bob Knight like no other. And then he ran the NCAA athletics into the ground. These people are worse than him. Like I said, they should all be the invisible men because so many people want to kick their ass and kill them. They literally want to kill them. There's like this guy Phillips from the ACC wants them all dead. I'm not even kidding. Your Mark, right there. He just said it all. He's like, these people are idiots. It is the worst first year of anything I've ever seen in my life. This committee is so bad. It makes the BCS committee look fantastic that they picked 4 teams to play in that because they have made this such a bloodletting and such a disaster that it's laughable. I don't even care anymore who makes the 12-team goddamn field. All I care about is give me the bowl games of all the good teams that they screwed so I can bet on those. And I'm right again.
Logos, not resumes.
He's
Great
right.
line
He's
from
right.
Brett Yormark. Logos, not resumes. And he is right.
Alabama has to get in to every playoff, or why have a season?
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. the New York team has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Right here with you on Pro Football Today on SportsGrid. Odds in motion, trying to see what lines have moved throughout the week.
Never felt more comfortable in the set than I do for this year. I am ready. I'm just getting angry. The hot takes are going to be here all long, people.
What in the world is going on in Miami, Dom?
It's not particularly anything to shy away from just because many people are on top of it.
Hot take, hot take.
I think this line is asking you once again to take New Orleans.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
Two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results.
What? How do you do this one?
Oh, Donnie, you've got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
There is going to be an energy to game time decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
So, Carver, how are you going to give me a little Kenny D, a little Dillingham here? Are you going to move into a whole nother realm with Lincoln Riley talking about how happy he is in Southern California?
Yeah, we'll save Kenny because obviously tomorrow is Friday, and tomorrow we will absolutely have to hit all of these games over Friday and Saturday. So why don't we save Kenny for tomorrow? And we'll play him when we preview that Arizona State-Iowa State game that we're going to have in Dallas on Saturday afternoon. Let me give you some other notes to chew on as well. There was a story the last couple of days that Lincoln Riley, that there was some other schools interested in, trying to get him out of USC, that people thought the situation was bad for him there. I saw UCF. Central Florida was interested in him, and a couple of other teams. Allegedly, Riley, nothing allegedly about what Riley said. He said, don't waste your time. I have no intention of leaving USC. I have no intention of going anywhere. Doesn't sound like they have any intention of firing him, although it probably cost them about $1 billion with all the money they gave him in terms of buyouts. But it has not been a good 3 years for Riley so far out in Southern California. But why the hell would you want to leave there? You say it all the time. Southern California, to leave anywhere, to go anywhere else? Get serious.
Yeah, I don't. Listen, I'll never change my opinion of it. Like, I left there and came to New York. I was forced to, and I've been here ever since. And I still go back there as often as I can, and I love it there, and I love surfing, I love the ocean, I love the weather, I love the golf, my son goes to school in San Diego. I mean, it's just the greatest place. Now, it does have its downfalls, certainly with all their issues with fires and earthquakes and everything else, but I never was exposed to much of that. Like I always said, there's no fires down at the beach, okay? And then, earthquakes, I mean, everyone's experienced those in Southern California. They just had one in Northern California today, a 7. And then my wife's like, oh, there's a 7 earthquake in near Berkeley. And I was like, well, that's so far from San Diego, it doesn't even matter. That's their problem, right? So we see these earthquakes all the time. But look, he's done nothing, but he hasn't shaken the earth in Southern California himself as a coach. I think his only way out of USC is going to be being fired. I think that is not happening yet, but I guarantee you if he has another losing season in USC, he's going to get fired. They're not going to just keep paying this guy $10 million a year to lose. They don't lose there, and it doesn't go ahead. It is no different. Their football program is no different than Kentucky basketball. At USC, you either win or you're fired. That's it. There's no in between. That's how it goes. So he will either can you imagine? He would never leave USC for Central
Florida.
I mean, what is
Central
next?
Florida.
FIU?
Yeah, head on down the road
Down
to
at
there
Pitbull
too. Although
Stadium?
UCF, you know what they should do? They should go get Scott Frost back. Remember they went undefeated with Scott Frost, and then he took the Nebraska job, and he was supposed to win national championships there. They should go bring him
Why
back.
not? He's in
doing
oblivion
nothing.
now anyway. His career's
And
over.
He did well there, so you might as well go and get him back at this rate. Lots of transfer portal stuff as well. Oklahoma quarterback Jackson Arnold is going to enter the transfer portal. He stinks. And did you see these other two guys? I don't have it written down here. This Cade McNamara is going to he got granted a 7th year of eligibility. So he's on the what's-his-face from Utah, the Cam Rising track. He's going to play his 7th year of college football at another school. And then they gave this Alan Bowman, who played at Oklahoma State this year. This guy's got to be about 40 years old. He won his appeal, and he's been granted an 8th year of eligibility in college football. 8 years.
What is he in med
playing
school?
College football.
He's doing his
You
residence.
got to be joking with this stuff. It's just nonsense what goes
How about
on.
the enemy getting fired? Remember, he was going to be the next
Jock.
head coach in the NFL, the brightest mind in the league.
And now UCLA fires Eric Bieniemy as their offensive coordinator. His people quickly put out a statement that says, this was the plan all along. We were always going back to the NFL after 1 year. Then why'd they announce it as a firing? Why didn't you quit? You fired him, chopped him, finished.
He
and
should
Fresno
go to
State
Central
hired,
Florida.
Go hire him. Fresno State hires Matt Entz as their new head coach. Entz guided North Dakota State to 2 FCS championships a few years ago. So he now jumps up a level there to Fresno State.
He's better off in North Dakota State than
Probably
Fresno.
better off there.
Are you
They're
kidding
going
me?
to
He's
the
going
Pac-
to
the
sweat his
Pac-12.
ass off in Fresno.
Fresno, Pac-12. Moving up.
It's a new era in CFP to start off this year, put on full display.
My take on this game is simple. I know some people will be upset about it. Good riddance to the Pac-12.
Can you do it in terms of the week to week to week?
I don't see a pathway for this team to miss the college football playoffs.
We want to make sure you have those best bets in the entirety of our betting cards. That was thinking! But he had that program was already going there!
Only on SportsGrid.
We live in a society right now where everybody's a snowflake, everybody's a cupcake, and everybody thinks that nothing is fair. Everything is like, it's not fair. We should have a better chance. We need more. You know what? I'm old enough to remember when you needed to have a perfect goddamn record to win a college football championship. That's the way it was. 11-1, too bad.
Sports Rage tonight. Only on SportsGrid.
Fillet Indiana. They would smash them.
What?
Honestly.
You listen to yourself speak. That's not a reality question. They have not played each other. You are using hypothetical.
And they got embarrassed.
As so many
if
teams
they would have
do.
Won that football. Yes, that's you're
but that's the thing, guys.
correct.
No.
The
Stop.
only
Please stop.
The only
Let me
argument
speak.
is Indiana is a decent football team and a product of their environment.
The early line. Only on SportsGrid.
He shouldn't need to hire outside help at this point to be able to help, let alone outside help, Joe, that used to work for him.
Until they get him out of the way, I just don't see how this gets any better. And like you said, who are you picking from? Because most people who know the league want nothing to do with the ownership group there with the Jets.
Ferrall Coast to Coast. Only on SportsGrid.